How's it going, guys? Welcome to my long-awaited series review of Godzilla. I know I said I would start this back in February, but I got lazy and I just didn't make any videos, so here I am now. So I'll first start off this Godzilla series reviews thing. I don't know what to call it. I'll start it off with reviewing all the films from the Showa series or era. But yeah. Yes, it's official. I'm actually starting these reviews, so don't worry, I'm here, and I know you're probably a little bit worried that I was never gonna Showa up. Get it? Showa, the Showa era, Showa up. This is why I don't have any friends. And of course, I have to start off this series review with, I'm actually gonna review two films at once, so yeah, so I'm going to be reviewing Gojira, which is the original Japanese Godzilla film, and Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out in 1956, which is the American remake of that Godzilla film. So let me first start off by talking about the original Gojira. It's a Japanese film that came out in 1954, and it's called Gojira even though it is Godzilla. They didn't start calling it Godzilla until it came out, you know, in America. But it was originally known as Gojira, so yeah. And also another thing, this movie is a lot different from all the other Godzilla films, basically because it's like, you know, this movie actually takes itself seriously. Not that the other Godzilla films don't take themselves seriously, but this one, you know, this is a movie that's actually really dark and it's really, you know, kind of scary. Unlike a lot of the other Godzilla films, which, you know, you're watching just for fun, you know, it's you're kind of like having a good time watching it, but this is actually a pretty, you know, a pretty serious film. Like they say, the original is always the best, and that is true in this case because this Gojira film is by far one of the best Godzilla films that has ever come out. Not only because it's the original, but because, again, it's the most serious one with the most, like, you know, has a dark tone to it, which I think really makes it good. The film is in black and white, and I really don't have to tell you the plot of the film because everybody knows Godzilla, everybody knows who he is, everybody knows what he does, he's Godzilla. I really don't have to explain the plot to this movie for you guys because you already know what it is, but, you know, basically, you know, he emerges from the ocean, he's a sea monster, and then, you know, he makes his way from Odo Island to Tokyo, and he attacks at Tokyo, and, you know where it goes from there. But the thing with this movie is that they treat it like it's an actual, like, natural disaster. Like, you know, when you're watching it, there's, like, all this debris and there's just so much stuff going on. And they're actually treating this like something really bad is happening. And there's, like, some sort of really bad disaster going on. And, you know, that's what I really liked about it is because they really focused on that concept. And you also got this 50-foot monster just destroying everything in sight, which is pretty freaking cool. But even though this movie takes itself more serious than the other ones, doesn't really mean it's not as cheesy, because this film is actually very cheesy because it was made in the 1950s. You know, it was made in the 50s, and when we watch it now today, it's gonna look pretty cheesy. It is pretty cheesy, and you know, but that adds a little bit more of the charm to it, I guess. You can obviously tell it is a guy in a costume. You know, you have the guy in a giant costume, and you have like the you know, the whole buildings and like the whole city set up, or it's like toy cars and everything. I love how they did that. That is just so great. But yeah, it's all very cheesy, and, you know, when we watch it now, it's kind of like, you know, it's a 50s movie, but when you watched it back then, this stuff was terrifying. Like, people have not seen this stuff before, which is why it got so much fame, because it's a giant monster, and it's attacking the city, and, you know, a lot of stuff's going on, and it's very kind of emotional as well. But I definitely do think that this is probably the most superior Godzilla films out of the entire franchise, and, yeah, you know, it's the original, it's the great, it's the best, and without it, there wouldn't have been any more, you know, kaiju movies out today. Godzilla pretty much inspired every single kaiju movie that has came out to this point, so you gotta give it a lot of credit for that. Now, moving on to Godzilla King of the Monsters. Godzilla King of the Monsters is a 1956 American film. It was released in America, and, you know, it came out 2 years after the original one. And it's the same exact movie, if you really think about it. Pretty much all it did was add, you know, a couple extra scenes with American actor Raymond Burr. But besides that, you know, it's all kind of the same thing with the Godzilla destroying the city and whatnot. It's pretty much the same movie, except, you know, this one was released in America, Gojira wasn't, and, yeah, that's when the American audience was introduced to Godzilla, which is probably this is probably the movie that gave it the most fame because, you know, the American audience saw it, the Japanese audience saw it, and also the Japanese parts were dubbed and stuff. So, if you were to watch the original Godzilla film, definitely watch this one. Although I do think the Gojira film is a little bit better than this one. This one's actually kind of shorter, I think. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter than the Gojira film, but, But other than that, it's pretty much the same old movie, except it was released in America 2 years later, and then, you know, yeah, there you go, that's Godzilla King of the Monsters. Alright, so I just reviewed the first two Godzilla films for you guys, Gojira and Godzilla King of the Monsters. Overall, I'm considering that they're somewhat the same movie. I'm going to give them the same score, and I'm going to go ahead and give these films 5 Godzillas out of 5. Yes, these are the perfect monster movies. This is the monster movie that started the revolution of monster movies, you know. This is, you know, the mother of monster movies, Godzilla. Everybody knows Godzilla. Everybody's heard of him. And without these movies, you know, we wouldn't have all the stuff we have out today with all the monster movies and the kaijus and everything. So, you know, you gotta give these movies a lot of respect for that. Even though they're a little old, I know they're kind of hard to watch, especially around this time. But, you know, just get them some chance and, you know, my voice just cracked. Just give them a chance and watch them every once in a while, and, you know, really respect them for that reason, that they, you know, pretty much created the whole monster movie genre. Not created, but they kind of made it popular, I guess. But yeah, guys, Gojira and Godzilla, they're both very great films. I do highly suggest you guys watch them. They're actually, I'd say they're the best monster movies out there. I mean, come on. But that's pretty much it for this episode for my Godzilla series review. And stay tuned for next time, because I'll be reviewing Godzilla Raids again. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.